Hi Mum! You do everything for everyone else. Let me help you make your life easier. Quick, short information to make you empowered and remind you why you are so important. Because if you don't know what's on the menu, how can you choose what's right for you? Hi, I'm Alina, Director of my private practice Supportive Therapy, an everyday Aussie mum trying not to lose my biscuits and my kids. As a mental health professional, I'm here to share my secrets so no other mother feels alone or powerless. Knowledge is power, and I want you to be powerful. Think of it like I'm your mindset coach through all of this. Everything is backed by science and psychology. I believe in you, and I want you to be the best version of yourself. To be happy and to feel in control, you need to be mentally strong. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's episode about the importance of self-care in motherhood. And so everyone knows, yes, of course I should have self-care. Yes, I should be able to prioritize myself. But you know what? A lot of the time it's easier said than done. Because have you ever heard of mum guilt, right? Mum guilt is I should be doing this, or I should have done that, or I feel guilty because I'm getting someone else to do it, or I feel lazy because I'm actually sitting down on the couch, right? The amount of mums that I end up talking to, the only time that we have our peace and quiet and quote unquote self-care time is when everyone else has gone to sleep. It's like 10 o'clock at night and we're either still scrolling our phone or we're on the lounge watching some kind of stuff, eating a bowl of ice cream, right? And then you wonder why the next day you're exhausted. But it's the only time of the day you actually look forward to, because it's the time where I get my peace and my quiet. No one wants anything from me. No one is demanding anything, right? I saw this little meme on social media the other day, and it was like, take a shot of tequila every time you hear the word mum. Actually, don't do that because you'll die. But that's how intense it is, because it's nonstop all the time. Sometimes even when your kids are teenagers, it's still a lot, even though they're demanding in different ways. The pressure's different. And when your kids, through different developmental lifespans throughout their life, whether they're babies, infants, toddlers, preschool, high school, graduated, or even young adults themselves having their own kids, it can all still be very difficult and challenging, but it's just different, right? So if we've never really learnt self-care or modelled it or felt like we have been supported or empowered to have self-care, almost giving ourselves permission or waiting for other people to give it to us, then it's extremely difficult. And as the previous episode, we were talking about overwhelm and how burnout impacts you. This episode is huge because we really need to understand and prioritize self-care. So knowing that self-care can almost try and be this impossible goal, because all we ever feel is the guilt, right? The guilt that motivates us, the guilt that I should, And so we always have things they call it, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. That means we should it all over ourselves, as opposed to actually being in the present, being more grounded, being more present, and actually prioritizing our own self-care so that we can then be a really good, authentic mother for our family, for our partner, for our friends, so that we can do this without guilt. So self-care is essential for emotional and physical well-being. So especially after the last episode, understanding the impacts of burnout. But there's also studies from the American Psychological Association that emphasize the role of self-care in preventing compassion fatigue. I don't know if you've ever heard of compassion fatigue. That compassion fatigue is when you're constantly there for other people, when you're constantly giving other people time of day and compassion and empathy and listening and essentially being everyone else's counselor. When you do that so much and so often, you then are so fatigued by being there for everyone else, especially because you are considered the primary caregiver. And women have wombs, which means we are nurturers, which means that sometimes we feel like this is our role that we need to play. But if you're able to prioritize your self-care, it can then prevent compassion fatigue. And that's why this constant state of recharging your batteries by doing self-care can actually prevent all of these huge things that because of the role that we're actually doing. And so self-care doesn't actually mean to go and spend money on massages or facials or girls' weekends away, even though they're amazing. Sometimes in our schedule or our budget, we just time poor or literally money poor and we can't afford to do these things. So you've got to be realistic about what self-care actually is for you. And even though I did say about the only peace and quiet of the day that we have is staying up at night, really self-sabotaging because it ruins us for the next day and the day after that because we've only had 5 hours sleep. And then especially if you're in your late 30s or early 40s, even 50s, hello perimenopause, and how that can then disrupt your sleep as well and then exacerbates everything. So mothers who tend to prioritize their children's needs often experience burnout without your own proper self-care. So obviously your children have their needs. They are very vocal about their needs. And yes, it is your job to be able to help meet their needs. But you've also then got to be able to balance your own needs, okay? Because if you don't feel like your own needs are important or valid, or you feel guilty because of your own needs, obviously that's going to lead to burnout and then eventually resentment. So if you don't know, resentment comes from the envy family, and resentment is generally, because it's from the envy family, you're jealous of something. And that's that feeling of being, well, I always prioritize everyone else's needs. How come no one does mine? That's jealousy, which then turns into resentment. If that's not resolved, it then turns into anger. So obviously, there's so much research that has shown that if you can engage in regular self-care, it improves your emotional regulation, which obviously then decreases your depressive symptoms, which I think aligns with all of that resentment stuff, because it's no good when I always feel like as the mother, I'm the one that's sacrificing. I'm the one that's there for everyone else, but no one else is there for me, you know? It's not true. They love you when they're there for you, but it's also about you allowing them to be there for you. So if you know that my need is to paint my toes, you know, because I want to paint my nails, paint my toenails, whatever that is, then how can we then kind of understand that these are my emotional needs? This is part of my self-care. And then if your kids come in and they go, oh, Mum, that's silly, let me do that for you. They're trying to then be there and support you. It's that beautiful, secure attachment, mutually beneficial relationship that you want to foster within yourself. Because if you feel like you're constantly sacrificing, but you can't accept, receive, or surrender to the help that people are trying to give you, because let's face it, no one's ever going to do anything as good as you, okay? You like things done the way that you like things done, and that's okay. But is that the barrier that's preventing accepting and receiving help and support from other people, which then you're preventing their joy and their happiness from doing what makes them happy and showing their love language towards you as well, okay? So there's also another little nugget before I want to go. There's the World Health Organization recognizes that self-care is as essential for maintaining mental health. So if you don't have self-care, you will not have good mental health. Like, that's a fact. That's from the World Health Organization. So that's how important all of this is. Understanding about regular physical activity. And sometimes if I don't even have time for that, you can even lay in your bed while watching your trash and do exercises in your bed, okay? getting up, doing things in the shower or doing things with kids or parking further away than what you would normally so that you can walk a bit longer, right? Taking the stairs instead of the elevator, wherever you're at, okay? So your sleep hygiene is huge as well because women actually need more sleep than men. We need between 8, 9, 10 hours, and especially if you've got little kids or if you are going through something like perimenopause, it can really throw a spanner in the works. And you know that sleep deprivation is a torture technique because of the way that it impacts your brain and the way that it then fogs your thoughts, your clarity, and then it's that whole self-sabotaging cycle, okay? Also, obviously, where is your village? Social connection has been shown and proven to mitigate the effects of chronic stress and to reduce the risk of postpartum depression. So whether you're in the postpartum phase or whether you're out of it, or even when you're in the teenage phase, we're not all lucky to have a family that supports us, and we're not all lucky to have a family that lives in our close vicinity, okay? And it can be very awful and lonely and isolating, especially when you see other friends and they have 2 sets of mothers, 2 sets of grandparents, and they're the ones that are looking after the kids all the time. And I realize that I don't have any of that. And it's that longing for that, okay? So how can you then be proactive to create your own little village of people? There are a lot of different ways you can do it, but it's also about putting yourself out there to connect and to make it mutually beneficial. Remember, we need a collective society as opposed to being so individualistic, okay? So when we think about self-care practices, there are a couple, the ones that I've kind of talked about before. You can also have you heard of a micro self-care break, right? Little micro breaks. So you can do things like stretching, being present. If you like tea, herbal teas, decaf coffee, don't drink too much coffee. It exacerbates anxiety. You can still have your coffee, but make it decaf, okay? Sip your tea mindfully and be present. Listen to music that makes you happy. If you listen to music that makes you sad, you will be sad. If you listen to music that makes you happy, it'll make you happy. It's got very powerful impact and effect, and also it's been proven with your regulating your nervous system through your polyvagal theory, through your vagus nerve that runs through your body, okay? Even just for 5 minutes. So after you drop the kids off, put on some really fun music, something really great, sing to it, dance to it, make you happy, whether it's heavy metal music, whether it's pop, whether it's classical, whatever that is, okay? So research shows that these small little breaks actually lower your blood pressure and decrease stress, which is huge. Don't we all want that? Obviously, social connection is huge. Reaching out for a friend, a bestie, another mother at school, and even if you don't want to have a phone call, even if you just want to be able to send text messages or even just little memes, it can be hugely important and beneficial. Studies always show that just brief social interactions can release oxytocin, and oxytocin is the love hormone from your brain that reduces your cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone and promotes a sense of belonging. And as mammals, that's what we need, a sense of belonging, okay? And let me talk about those sleep rituals, honey, okay? Women need sleep. It's very, very important. I've even done an episode about cognitive Z's, about if you have nightmares or you wake up a lot, the science behind nightmares. So go and re-listen to that episode, Cognitive Z's. And even if your kids have night terrors, how important it is to be able to get everyone to sleep well in the house and stay asleep. That's the key, right? So even if you have a pre-calming sleep routine, reading, taking a bath, or getting hubby to rub your feet, right? Evidence from sleep studies show that a consistent bedtime ritual can improve sleep quality, and this is crucial for your emotional balance and energy. I'm a huge fan of the Family Guy. It's light, it's a cartoon, it makes me laugh, and sometimes I will just put it off in the background, and it's because I know every single episode by heart, right? And as soon as I've conditioned my body that as soon as I hear that, I'm instantly asleep. So even if I wake up 3 times during the night, put it on, asleep. In the army, they do a body scan technique, and they teach and train the soldiers on how to be able to then have a complete body scan. And the way that a body scan works is you either start from the tip of your toes and you almost visualize a blanket coming up. And as the blanket comes up from the tip of your toes, it's nice and warm and relaxing and calming and heavy. So then picture it on your toes, up your feet, the arch of your feet, the heel, up through your ankle, up through your shin. And as you keep on going, visualizing as if it's a relaxing blanket coming up all the way to the tip of your head. By the time it gets to the tip of your head, your body will be so heavy and so relaxed, you will instantly fall asleep. And this is what they do in the army. They've conditioned themselves. So as soon as they then, because you think of them out in the field with all their gear on, their clothes, their backpacks, and they have to sit upright, they'll go, right, your turn, click. So then they'll be able to do the body scan technique. And as soon as they get to the tip of their toes, they're asleep. All right? That's how powerful it works. If you just practice it every time, I guarantee you it works. Don't give up on yourself, okay? So, mums, self-care is huge. I'm giving you permission to give yourself self-care, little micro breaks, and giving you permission. It's not about feeling guilty. It's not being selfish. You got to recharge your battery, all right? You're not an alien. You're not a robot. Recharge it, okay? And you've got to do these little things for you. Otherwise, it kind of seeps out into uncomfortable things in the future, okay, with your family. So if you have some really good self-care practices that you know of and I haven't done today, let me know and I'll be able to put them up on my socials or in our Facebook group or even on put it in another episode, okay? Mum, you are so important. No one exists without you. You are the matriarch of your family. But for you to be able to be the matriarch and to continue to be your authentic self, you need to be mentally strong. And to have good mental health, you need good self-care practices. So this is me giving you permission to do that. All right? Thank you so much for your time and for listening. I appreciate everything and you have a fabulous day. Do something nice or put on some fun music. I might do that for you now. All right, bye. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, I want to thank you for your support. It takes me hours to research and create this for you, so I genuinely hope you enjoyed it and felt more mentally strong. If you have any suggestions or improvements, let me know because I'm always open for criticisms. If you have found my information useful, please leave a review and subscribe. So by leaving a review, it's a value exchange. It's good karma. I value your support just as much as you value my free information. So find me on Instagram and Facebook by searching Mentally Strong Mums, and I'm Aussie, so it's spelled MUM. And then you can find heaps of resources on www.mentallystrongmums.com. And this podcast is for you. So let me know what topics you would like to see covered in future episodes. And if yourself is a professional that is working with mums and would like to be a guest to help other mums be mentally strong, I would love to support you. So message me on Instagram on Mentally Strong Mums, MUMS, all one word. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day, you beautiful mum.